Today we are talking about Tyre Nichols. This is absolutely heartbreaking, brutal. I apologize in advance if I start to tear up or cry. I will pause and then come back. It's going to be a very hard video to listen to. I will not be putting the body cam footage in this video of his death. It's incredibly disturbing. And I'm not going to have anybody see that does not want to. If you want to see it, it is out there. But I want to be honest with you guys. I will be giving the graphic information of what happened during his death. And so just a trigger warning for that alone. If this case is too heavy for you, I completely understand. But like all of our cases, it's very important that we talk about Tyre, who was a beautiful soul that should still be with us. And it's so sad that he's not. All the links that I used for my research will be down below. If you're not familiar with this case, you should definitely go do some research of your own. And we're going to go ahead and get into this because I do have a lot more information than I normally do. This is probably one of the most recent cases I've done. So let's get into it. So Tyre was a 29-year-old father with a passion for creativity when he was brutally murdered by police. He was the baby of his family, and he had a 4-year-old son and was always working to better himself as a father. He loved to skateboard and spent many weekends with a camera in his hand at the park on the weekends just waiting for a beautiful sunset to photograph. In his own words on his website, he says, quote, "Photography helps me look at the world in a more creative way. It expresses me in ways I cannot write down for people," end quote. And I thought that was such a beautiful quote that I wanted to include it. He was from Sacramento, California, but he came to Memphis, Tennessee right before the pandemic, and that hit, and he got stuck there. And he has been there ever since. And he didn't mind it because his mom was there, his father was there, or maybe his stepfather, I'm not sure, I'm very sorry about that. And in fact, he loved his mom so much that he actually has her name tattooed on him. So his friends would describe him as joyful and lovable. His friend Angelina Paxton said, quote, "This man walked into a room and everyone loved him," end quote. So his website, which features his photography, is called The California Kid. And the invitation on the page when you go to it says, "Welcome to the world through my eyes," end quote. And you can find photos of bridges, railroad tracks, Beale Street, beautiful flowers, beautiful sunsets. Just absolutely, everything was just absolutely beautiful. You can tell he had a very vibrant soul. He was a very beautiful soul, and you could see that through his own art. We're now going to get into the murder. And from here on out, that is what we're going to be talking about. So, trigger warnings begin now. It's going to be graphic. I will not have the footage on screen, but I will have stills from the video itself. You won't see anything graphic from that, just the stills of like how he was sitting and stuff. I won't have very many, just because I know that's distressing nature, and I don't want that for people. So, if you're not familiar, his death was brutal and it was horrific. The family's lawyer actually said this about the beating that you can see in the footage of his death, and it says, quote, "He was a human piñata," end quote. And honestly, yeah, it's so disturbing, but that is the best way to describe it. He was being used as a human piñata. So, in the footage, he can be heard saying he just wants to go home, and sadly his last words were of him calling for his mom 3 different times. That, when I saw that, I did not, I want to be very clear, I did not watch the video because that is distressing for me. But when I saw that he had called for his mother, I thought of George Floyd specifically. And the heartbreaking thing is that he was less than 100 yards from his home. Another article said that he was less than 2 minutes away from his home. He was that close. So there is a quote from his mom who still hopes that, she just wants him to come home. Like, she hopes that he'll just walk through the door one day. And she says, "It's not even real to me right now. I don't have any feelings right now. I know my son Tyre is not here with me anymore. He will never walk through that door again," end quote. So back to the death. So he was killed during a violent traffic stop that included at least five officers, that beat him repeatedly. The police claim to have pulled him over for reckless driving. Officials say that Memphis officers apprehended Nichols. They approached Tyre Nichols, who ran away. They then pursued Tyre and apprehended him. But his family's attorney, however, says that the body cam footage shows that he did not initially run away when he was approached. He told him he was just trying to get home after his shift from FedEx. And body cam footage shows the initial altercation. In the initial altercation, an officer says, quote, "I'm going to beat your ass," end quote, and, quote, "I'm going to tase your ass," end quote. And he says this as various officers hold him on the ground and yell at him. Tyre remains calm and even says to them, quote, "You guys are really doing a lot right now," end quote. He does manage to break free as they appear to deploy a stun gun on him, and he runs away. And I just want to pause right now before anybody leaves a comment. I might even have comments turned off. If you think that running away is a good enough reason for any of this, even the smallest bit of this to have happened, not only are you wrong, you are despicable, you are disgusting, and you are enabling these murderers. I will not allow that on my page, and you will respect Tyre, and you will respect his family. So understand that before you even bother commenting. There is nothing you can do, I'm convinced, that will ever convince me that you deserve to be killed, especially not in this way. Now, before I go on a rant, because I want to save that for later, let's go ahead and continue. Several officers can be seen grouped with Tyre and standing over him as he's on the ground. Two officers hold him down, and a third kicks him. A fourth comes over with a baton, and they pick him up from the ground and hold him up while he is struck in the face and torso. He falls to his knees, and several cops kneel and lean over him. Some are just watching. They're just watching. They're not getting help or anything. There is at least one officer that kicks him while he's on the ground, and about 3 minutes from the first kick, they step away, drag him to the street, lean him against a car, and he appears to have his hands behind his back. So I believe in an article it says that he was actually handcuffed. And then he remains slumped next to the car for 20 minutes before they even attempt to get him aid. 20 minutes. After they just brutalized this poor man, they wait 20 minutes. EMTs appear with an ambulance just minutes later. Other than beating, they also used pepper spray. When he was screaming for his mom, the cops tell him to give them his hands, and the cop with the baton says, quote, "I'm a baton the fuck out of you," end quote, and strikes him on the back 3 times. They also punch and slap him. After, Tyre says he had a shortness of breath and was in critical condition when EMTs showed up. Because of his condition, Shelby County district attorney was contacted, and TBI agents were requested to conduct a use of force investigation. Memphis PD at the time said officers involved will be routinely relieved of duty pending the the outcome of the TBI investigation. So now we are going to get into the timeline of how things went from there. January 10th, unfortunately, Tyre dies 3 days after being in police custody. January 18th, a federal investigation begins. The FBI and the DOJ are investigating this, and one of their units, I believe it's their civil rights unit, they said, a civil rights investigation is opened with them. January 20th, 5 of the police were fired from Memphis PD. The cops were all black, in case you didn't know, and it does not matter what color they are. That is a power move to murder someone like that, and it's disgusting. But they were all black. Their names were Tardarius, or they're still very much alive, unlike Tyre, but their names are Tadarius Bean, Demetrius Haley, Emmett Martin III, Desmond Mills Jr., and Justin Smith. January 26th. There is an independent autopsy released. This was conducted by the family. And the officers are charged. So a grand jury indicted the 5 of them with murder, specifically second degree, aggravated assault, aggravated kidnapping resulting in bodily injury, aggravated kidnapping involving the possession of a weapon, official misconduct through unauthorized power, official misconduct through failure to act when there is a duty imposed by the law, and official oppression. So that's everything that they were charged with. All 5 of them pled not guilty on February 17th. The autopsy that was ordered by the family shows that he had suffered from extensive bleeding caused by a severe beating. And it's consistent with what's seen on the video. The Memphis chief of police, Sarah Lynn Davis, actually calls this crime heinous, reckless, and inhumane. January 27th, body cam footage is released, and deputies are relieved of duty. 4 videos were shared to Vimeo by the city of Memphis. There was also surveillance from a pole camera, and there was about 67 minutes in total that was initially released. February 3rd, Memphis Police Department Officer Preston Hemphill is fired. February 7th, 7 additional officers could possibly face punishment. February 7th again, former officer Demetrius Haley, I'm not sure how you pronounce the name, texted a photo of a beaten and bloody Tyre with still in handcuffs and sent it to multiple people. That is beyond disgusting. I don't know what he was getting out of that. When I read that, I was mad. And March 7th, the 7th officer is fired for violating numerous policies and protocols. As of 6 days ago, or when I was seeing this article that it says it was 6 days ago, it was on March 7th that this article was published. So the city is ready to release additional information, nearly 20 hours of video and audio from the scene of his death. I don't know how there's 20 hours worth. I'm not sure what's all included. And they will also be releasing redacted documents. In total, 13 officers were investigated. 7 were fired, 3 were suspended, 2 had internal charges dropped, and 1 retired before a hearing could be conducted, because of course they did. I'm going to be completely honest, I don't think, if you're going through something like this and you could be looked at, I don't think anybody should be allowed to retire. I think that option should be suspended until the investigation is done with, because that was a very strategic move. And I also find it incredibly disgusting. And that is where we are now. There was a lot more to this timeline and to the actual night of his death, but it is so graphic and distressing. I didn't want to put it all out there, but it's absolutely heartbreaking. So I just want to say, like I said, it doesn't matter what color you are. You have absolutely no right to exert that kind of force on somebody. I don't care if you're a police officer. You have no right to take that kind of power into your hands and hurt someone, kill someone, injure someone. And they said it was for reckless driving. Their reckless driving does not warrant that kind of use of force. Um, and honestly, if it had been a white person, let's be honest, they'd still be alive probably. And honestly, I think the cops might have thought that they'd get away with it. Just because of their power. And it's disgusting to think about. Hearing about what he had to endure, being beaten like that, I can't imagine what he went through. And I can't believe they waited so long to get him help. It's disturbing. He seemed like such a lovely human being, and because of the decision of 5 people that wanted to exert power, he's no longer here. He can no longer bring light to this world, to his family. His son no longer has a father. And that little boy is going to have to grow up. And I'm sure he's going to know what happened one day, and it's going to be absolutely horrifying for him to learn. I hope that these police officers get charged with everything they possibly can be. I hope no more charges are dropped. And I hope that they are punished to the fullest extent of the law possible. And I hope that whatever happens, it can at least bring the family some sort of peace. And I hope that justice is served. And if any of his family is seeing this, I am so sorry. You guys deserve better. Tyre deserved better. His son deserved better. And what happened wasn't right. And nothing can ever make that right. But I hope that him hopefully getting the justice he deserved will help you heal a little bit better. So I'm gonna go before I start crying a lot more. But thank you guys so much for listening to Tyree's story. I will update you guys as this goes on. At the time I'm filming this, I haven't seen anything else about a trial or anything like that. But I will update you guys as I can. Thank you so much, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.